It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at GearWebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at GearWebsites.com.
And welcome everybody to our weekly 2A wrap up. We'll take this off of this guy. He doesn't need this on the nice side of the house. And getting started here at an odd time or normal time, but at their actual time because Gizzard wasn't live tonight to cork us. Isn't that interesting? So I don't know what's going on with Gizzard, but hopefully everything's okay. He rescheduled his show till Saturday. So for people that are listening to this as a podcast, this goes live on Friday nights, and right before this show is the Gizzard show, I believe it's called. And he rescheduled the show today, so we're just going rogue in the middle of the night like this. So Snob is joining us this evening. Welcome. Here for the puppy. Puppy's doing okay. He's been he had a big job today. He had to watch a bunch of stuff happen and supervise it. He slept for a portion of that time, but he did get very tired monitoring everything that's been happening today and supervising to some extent, managing. So we'll see if he falls asleep here or not. I wager he'll fall asleep. Gizzard is out having a good time. Well, that's good to hear. All right, so I didn't get my show the way I would normally set it up this week, so we're gonna improvise a bit. We'll bring up what's going on here. We'll bring up the screen here and start sharing it, and we'll have to just kind of wing it tonight. So normally I set this show up over the weekend and kind of get it ready a week ahead of time, in other words. Today, though, we're going to just do it raw. And one of the things we take a look at each week is stuff that I've been watching throughout the week that's focused on what our Second Amendment protects. And let's see. Go through and take a look. Pull out some of this BS. And I had to look up a few things this week. So I'm removing those from the list. And get rid of some of these other things. But normally throughout the week, I'd be listing all the stuff on this show that I've been checking out during the week. And we'll just go back and look at that here. So let's go to subscriptions first. And we're going to cork right now by New York Outcast. Looks like that's happening. Earlier today, Team House had a B-1 bomber pilot on, weapons systems officer from a B-1 bomber. I've only ever talked to B-1 pilots a couple of times, so that's pretty interesting. I don't get to hear that very often. We have an update on the situation we get legally in Colorado from Dragon Mans. That's pretty cool. That would probably go in the list. We have the Q&A from armed attorneys talking about the new rule. Imagine that's been a talk of the week. Got the Forge of Freedom podcast talking about the FISA reauthorization. Is that how to say it? Looks like Walk the Talk America had a chat with somebody, Nick. Gear Report had their show this week. Our friend Rob Stott posted some stuff from the AK-47 catalog. It's looking like a cool Romanian AIM. Romania's 545. Oh, their whole weapons family. So Romanians have this cool stock, and they're the only ones that have the front deal. So you know it's a Romanian. So then we had another Walk Talk America show. Looks like 12 hours ago. So that one would have been on an odd day. Maybe they haven't decided on what day they're going to do their podcast yet. Gun Freedom Radio has started posting some posts. Oh, Armed Citizens Network responds to Mark Victor. That's interesting. So, Attorneys for Freedom, Mark Victor up in Phoenix has been doing all kinds of, well, is it marketing or is it lashing out or is it changing the game? It's hard to know. So they've been sending a lot of info out there about some of the protection for armed people, right? What a lot of people call insurance. Oh, I should check. My audio is working, right? Thanks for checking in there, Saint, jumping in. So this is going to be interesting. I'll be listening to this after the show. Let's keep going. We had a bunch of commentary. Shooting Left to Center Yankee show was this week, so I went on with Matt and Yankee and chatted for a bit. Is that a third show from Walk the Talk America? How many shows? They did 3-hour shows this week. That's crazy. We had Mouse Party on Wednesday night. That was always a lot of fun. Bullets for Bucks had a show. No, this was one that's scheduled. He had a show earlier in the week, though. There's a shorter video from Walk the Talk America. They're definitely posting a lot of stuff. Let's see. What else we got on this list? Gizzard had his members only chat. Number 4. He just started doing that. Rapid Fire Radio doing their regularly scheduled shows this week. Gun and Gear Review. I listened to that one on Tuesday or something like that. Then we go back. Gun Freedom Radio had Eric Pratt on from Gun Owners of America, probably talking about their NRA meeting. I mean their Gun Owners of America NRA meeting. I mean their Gun Owners of America meeting. Then we've got Meet the Pressers with Riding Shotgun with Charlie. I didn't watch that one, so that's only a 30-second video. So that must be this week, though. I'll check that one out. Let's see what else we got on the list. There's Gizzard from last week, so why don't we assume that's about a week's worth of watching? Or no, wait, this one is the one that's got rescheduled to Sunday, so everybody can check that out. I'll throw a link out here. You get the special treat of watching a Gizzard Sunday show. I've heard that a Gizzard Sunday show has the potential of giving away a free knife. Now, I don't know if Free Knife Sunday is something that Gizzard does or if I'm just making that up. But if you put in hashtag Free Knife Sunday during his show, let's find out. He's swimming in Civivis. We know that.
Somebody told me.
We know he's swimming in Civivis. That's all I'm saying. I saw this, but I didn't watch it because I don't watch everything Gun Owners of America. Certainly not when I'm busy. But they talk about some kind of pro 2A legislation, so I'm going to put that up in the list here. And I think that's about. Oh no! We're going to go to Riding Shotgun, which Charlie had Robin Sandoval and Tatiana Whitlock on. That one will come up in a minute here. Oh, and then we'll get into the stuff that we watched. But this Protected McAfee one was pretty interesting for sure. Holy moly. All right, so let's get into it. Let's make sure that we've got both of these up just in case. And if I'm missing anything, feel free to let me know. Definitely been busy this week and did not catch all the stuff I would normally catch. And I certainly didn't catch anything that I wouldn't normally catch, if that makes sense. So next, that's sort of the stuff that I'm going to recommend from my subscription list. And you can see I subscribe to a bunch of stuff I don't watch. So we're going to go look at the history list. And this is, everybody's got this. If you click on your YouTube at the top left, you'll get this menu to pop up. And then history is one of the items at the top of the menu. And this is essentially everything you've watched recently. So I just opened up a couple of these that I'm going to watch later today. So those are in the first of the list. Yesterday, Gear Report was on. I was in there chatting after Yankee show. Then we got the Mouse Party. See, I didn't watch Yankee show, so it didn't show up in my watch history. Rapid Fire Radio, definitely worth checking out each week. Toby from Cape Gun Works over in Massachusetts has a really good ability to do an interesting show talking about guns and politics. Well, not politics, guns and Second Amendment issues, which unfortunately are often politic-ish because of the antis constantly using government and shit to mess with us. But essentially, they got a lot of stuff going on in Massachusetts. Commendable to have somebody who's able to put the time and effort into sharing information, creating a resource. It's super critical to have places for people to gather. The soapbox, we always talk about the soapbox. The soapbox is a bunch of people gathering to listen to something. People getting up on the soapbox to say stuff, right? So Rapid Fire Radio, Cape Gunworks, Toby are creating that each week, 3 different times during the week. Again, that's a massive investment in time, which I don't think they get much return other than people probably going to the gun shop. We encourage you to check out their online store for sure. All right, well, then we'll keep going. I'm going to get rid of this one, but there was an interesting show this week on the Green Beret Chronicles, talking about that Jocko guy who's a SEAL and about how he's been doing stuff and the way he got his stuff accomplished. So really interesting. That was an hour worth of conversation there. Might be worth checking out if you're interested in some of the behind the scenes on some of the military podcasts. Our friend Tony Simon is one of the co-hosts of the Guns and Gear Review podcast. Does that happen Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday evenings. There's a bunch of stuff that all kind of happens at the same time on Tuesdays, I think. And that's one of them. One of those things is Hillbilly's VIP show. So if you're a member of his channel, you can check that out. Let's see. We have our friends from Blue to Green podcast chatting about, they're going to be doing an episode on the ducks up at that organic garden I'm a big fan of up in Phoenix. Ghost had his show on this Tuesday, and they were talking, I can't remember what they were talking about. It was a long time ago. Side Hustle Shuffle, if you're interested in making money. This guy's a really good, his name is Jim. It's a really good channel. Just whatever channel I'm logged into, I watch his channel. So that's why that one showed up here. He does a show on Tuesdays, I think, as well. So now you get, this happened Tuesday without me even realizing it. I watched it later in the evening. But this guy is SEAL Team 6. So if everybody knows, the SEALs are, what became, the Navy's special warfare that came out of their World War II commandos. So the SEALs are on teams, and during Vietnam, one of the SEALs was Richard Marcinko, and after Vietnam, he had attained quite a reputation, so to speak, of being a doer, a person who can get things done. So the Secretary of the Navy tasked Marcinko with doing quite a few interesting jobs, and one of them was to stand up SEAL Team 6, or to create SEAL Team 6 out of thin air. SEAL Team 6 is a specific SEAL team that's designed or designated from the Navy's point of view, or from the Navy's skill sets, to deal with counterterrorism and counter or hostage rescue. So each of our branches has their own teams or groups that are, to apply to that or to work with that or towards that goal. And SEAL Team 6 is, well, now fairly famous. For a long time, it was completely unknown and hidden. And this guy who was on the Team House podcast was on SEAL Team 6 for 27 years. So amazing, from like 84 or something through 2012. Such an interesting show. It's an hour and a half, and hopefully that guy's going to be on this was his first podcast. Hopefully he'll be on a lot more because he has amazing stuff. He really can't talk about a lot of it. They kind of alluded to some things that I hadn't even heard about. SEAL Team 6 taken care of, but somebody who is on a specific unit like that for 27 years is fairly unique. Most of the time people move around and do different things. So that was a really cool interview. Macman did a reloading show. This is a channel from Japan I've been watching forever. They do airsoft and stuff. So the first military podcast I started listening to was the Mic Drop show, or I guess the Mic Drop podcast. Mike Ritland in Texas. And I think from the beginning, he kind of requires guests to show up at his place outside of Dallas. So people have to be willing and able to get to his place in Dallas. I think he might have had like 2 shows where the person wasn't there with him. And so that makes it kind of different, but it also makes it interesting and unique. And it's one of my favorite podcasts. And from that one, because I liked some of the guests and I started looking for other conversations with some of his guests, is where I discovered the other podcasts I listened to. But Mic Drop is unique in that Mike listens, or he has a conversation with people and he asks them specific questions to start out the interview, usually their daily routine and their like breakfast and their morning routine, I guess. And they'll ask them their origin stories. And he has a specific interest in dog stuff for sure. And then really lets people kind of go and takes whatever path the conversation is going to take. So it makes it for a really interesting show that, while it's focused on their military service, is by no means, it's hardly even tethered to it. Sometimes they don't even talk about it at all. So in this case, this is a guy who, holy moly, he had done so many interesting things, including mercenary work. He was SEAL, and then was what would you say, like executive protection for McAfee, the guy McAfee who invented the antivirus software. A really interesting character. And this guy became rich and then poor working with McAfee. And super interesting. It's a 4-hour interview, 4-hour conversation. Definitely a mic drop. It's worth listening to that one. Rapid Fire, as I mentioned, Toby does different shows, and this is their Sunday show, which he literally does on the radio. Forge of Freedom had a conversation about the whatever that new gun control group or gun control office that the executive branch has created and put Kamala Harris as the head of. Let's see. Now we have armed attorneys talking about their interpretation of the final rule. You know, if I watched that, I didn't even remember it. Oh, see. What the hell is this? I was doing some work, and whenever you look up stuff on YouTube, you end up getting all kinds of suggested stuff from it. Costly Conversation, or Armed Atlas had a cool conversation. New faces of gun culture, or the new face of gun culture. I already talked about Ryan Shotgun with Charlie. Had Robin and Tatiana on from Girl and a Gun. They have their conference coming up with almost 1,000 ladies going to show up in Colorado to do a multiple days worth of shooting events. I don't know why this is on here. This is weird garbage. So then this is something about thermiting railroad tracks back together. I don't know how that happened. This is some channel where they were putting different kind of camouflage in shitty dye to change the color of it. I don't know what this is. Then we've got Great Start Shooting School. Brooke talking about suicide prevention. She does that every Saturday, and I think she's talking about, or she's just contemplating changing the name of the show because it's having to deal with the YouTube the inability of YouTube to be able to differentiate between positive conversations that include the word suicide and derogatory or negative stuff that uses suicide or incorporates suicide. So it's frustrating, and that she has to deal with that instead of just focusing on stuff. But at the same time, it helps illustrate the difficulty in the situation, I suppose. Bravo to Brooke for continuing to put effort into something that has no monetary value or monetary or financial reward. And as you can see, it actually deters her growth and ability to spend time on the things she'd rather put time into. So hopefully people are supporting Brooke in her efforts there and championing the concept of normalizing mental health awareness and then suicide prevention. All right, going along with things that I watched this week, we got Live Love in Nebraska. Travis and his friend who go around eating stuff and making videos about it. Not enough people do that. They focus on local places in Nebraska, amazingly. And this time they're talking about cheesesteaks made with Cheese Whiz from with bread imported from Philadelphia every week or something. So a little hole in the wall place, kind of like the restaurant or food portion of a bar that's on the main street, and you kind of walk around through the alley to find the place. Pretty cool little place. Let's see. Then we get Artak going to Palmetto State and shooting some guns. I forgot why I put this one in here. And I think I just thought it was a cool video. It's like 25 seconds long. Gives you a really good idea of the range. I don't know what this is. I think it's because he's filming out of glasses. But it gives you a pretty good idea of the range there. And then kind of a peek at what the event was like, the weather and whatnot. And then he shoots the gun for a couple of shots. And because it's a 9mm, he has no love of the gun. You could tell it was probably shot poorly because it's 9mm. All right, so we'll scroll back down. Hopefully I don't get copyright. Well, he can copyright me for that because I just played his entire video. He'll get an alert that says, this other guy played your video on his video. And if he wants to, he can copyright me. So I appreciate all the people that don't copyright me when I do that. Gun Owners America has their NRA show. I mean, their meeting or whatever they're calling it, goals coming up. And this is 59-second video about it. Here's a bigger thing. Dragon Man opened his museum, and I don't know why this one's showing up because I have a video of the actual people at the museum. He had something like 214 people show up for the first opening day. How cool is that? We live in an era of Dragon Man. You're making a decision to not go check out Dragon Man's museum. Just saying, there's going to be times when your grandchildren will go, how come we didn't go to Dragon Man's? And you'll have to come up with some excuse of why you didn't go to Dragon Man's, because you could be going to Dragon Man's right now. I feel like we talked about some of this stuff before, didn't we? Yeah, we totally did. So that was it. April 12th. Oh, yeah, come on. So I didn't watch that much stuff this week. That's my history. So I wasn't watching a lot of stuff this week. Yeah, that's not very much stuff. Probably get more out of my subscriptions. But that's it. We're going to cut out of here and get over to my email because there's probably more stuff happening in real life. I don't watch channels that, well, I watch Four Boxes Diner and I watch Cape Gunworks, and Dragon Man's been updating us on Colorado, but I don't watch the hype and I don't watch the let's exploit the news channels. So let's go to what I find to be the most useful resource. Was my internet not working? Which is, what is this all about? Got some kind of weird email here. I'm going to check on real quick. Okay. And then we'll go to, oh, is my internet down? Why is it taking so long to open? Holy moly. My computer's having trouble. I don't know if that's a browser thing. Go ahead and leave that page. I don't need that page open if it's going to make my computer run slow. We're going to go to the NSSF Government Relations Update which I can view in my browser, which is I'm going to try to do right here. Oh my goodness, that's large. So let's drag that down to the normal size and drag it over here so everybody can watch. Boom. So this is where I find most of the most useful news each week. You can subscribe to this. It's NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, which is essentially the industry's liaison with the government. But they're taking on a different role as time goes on here, and I'll commend them on this. I've been using this resource now for quite a while, and every Friday, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific. So I guess that's evening almost on the metric time zones. But they extend this out each week, and it's I think a pretty good. It's not a summary. I can't call it a summary because it's super wordy, and all they do really is look at a bunch of blogs, but they put the effort in and they send it out. So what I do is I usually summarize this down to bullet points and add that to my show each week. So that's what we're going to do here is kind of go through and look at what's going on from the NSSF's point of view. So the firearm industry members ask U.S. Supreme Court to review Mexico's $10 billion lawsuit. All right, so that should be a no-brainer. We got Biden border policies fueling California gun sales. What's that all about? New York Post reported that Californians are purchasing firearms for personal protection because of the Biden administration's open border policies. All right, so then the next thing is Republican attorney generals target Bank of America for discrimination. 15 Republican states attorneys general are warning Bank of America against their practice of debanking customers for political or religious views. Kansas attorney general, somebody, led the letter that states your discriminatory behavior is a serious threat to free speech and religious freedom. I have no idea what that's about. So if anybody knows if that's interesting or important, I'll maybe look more into it, but that seems like non-issue here. Judge denies Hunter Biden's motions to dismiss federal gun charges. So judge denies his motion to dismiss gun charges. Okay, so some judge denied that guy motions to dismiss. Okay, so that's the exact same sentence essentially. Hunter Biden's lawyers argued that pretrial diversion agreement shielded him from prosecution, that he's the victim of selective prosecution. He is a victim. All right, so next we'll go to the federal news. I don't know if I liked all those. I just hyped it all up for being so good, and this was essentially so I'm not a big. That's why I boil this thing down usually. All right, the next is federal news. Attorney General Garland faces congressional grilling on engaged in the business rules. U.S. Attorney Merrick sat for questioning at the House of Representatives Appropriations Subcommittee heading over Department of Justice funding requests. Somebody from Virginia asked the guy about the new BATF engaged in the business definition. By the way, all that noise, nobody's over here sawing logs. Nobody's got rusty plumbing. What we got here is this little animal who's been essentially supervising other people doing work all day and, monitoring it and watching it. And he's exhausted from that. He's exhausted. He's literally exhausted. He's got little tiny toothpick legs and they got to carry on this big blubber body. So he's exhausted and he's making a bunch of noises over here. So that's what's happening. We don't actually have a leaky exhaust manifold. All right. So, given the ATF claims it can barely keep up with the workload of inspecting the current number of dealers, what's the point of this new rule? Oh, that's a nice perspective on it. The purpose is to prevent guns from being sold. Okay, now you're all back and forth. So he thought, okay, whatever. So I guess they are trying to, spend time and effort to go after the ATF for being rogue again. And this all plays into the diversion that the tactic was in the first place, to take resources and time from everybody who cares about individual freedom and the lack of government control and, require them to go hold to task these foolish, dumbass diversions. I don't know what to call them. All right. Next one is Representative Edwards says, where's the science behind ammo bans on Northwest right sausage, which I have no idea why that has something to do with this. Maybe, what does that even mean? National Wildlife Refuge? National Wildlife Refuge somethings. So, yeah, that's a bad writing. This is super bad writing. Let's just move on. So essentially, a bunch of people get upset because parts of the country want to keep things from getting destroyed, and other people want to just go do stuff and just destroy it a little bit. And that's good. We probably should have constant debate over that, because if we let people who don't give a shit do everything, then everything's going to get destroyed. And if we let people who are too worried about anything ever happening, then we'll never get to do anything good. So we should probably be constantly fighting there. Maybe you disagree. We'll keep moving. Woke wildlife refuges. What? Congress blasts climate priority rule that sidelines hunting. Congress had sharp criticism for a proposed rule that would prioritize a climate change agenda over a proven hunting conservation strategy that's benefited wildlife conservation sportsmen and women. And women, what is that supposed to mean? It's not the first time either. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I don't like this. This is bad writing, and all this is rewriting, like recopying bad writing. So I don't even know what it is. I read 2 paragraphs of it, and I have no idea what it's about. So that's bad writing, in my opinion. Next, congressional leaders demand Biden administration evaluate U.S. supply chain for smokeless gunpowder. So a bunch of senators in Idaho and Minnesota introduced the Ammunition Supply Chain Act. Does that mean anything? ASCA? That would require the administration to submit a report to Congress about the current state of the domestic supply of necessary components for smokeless gunpowder. The legislation would reiterate Congress's concerns about the domestic supply and production of nitrocellulose, as well as require administration to submit a report to Congress on the domestic supply chain for smokeless gunpowder, including nitroglycerin and acid production, all essential components of ammunition manufacturing. I thought those were made in Utah, so it's interesting. Are they made in Minnesota? So that's interesting. I haven't heard anybody talking about that one. I don't know if this is a super interesting or super critical issue, but I do like the concept that we're requiring the administration to submit reports to Congress. They're wasting our time. Let's waste their time so that they don't have time coming up ways to waste our time. Is that a good strategy, or is that just waste a bunch of our money? So I don't know. It's an interesting one. And is anybody out there sky is falling about the smokeless powder? Because it seems like this is something that some people would read about a paragraph into this and then start making a whole show about how the powder is going to be gone and prices are going to go up and hoarding and scarcity and blah, blah, blah. Cycles and cycles and cycles. So let's see. Senators push federal kitchen sink gun control bill. U.S. Senators blah, blah, and blah, blah from Virginia used the anniversary of the Virginia Tech murders to push the grab-all gun control they introduced in Congress. The Virginia Plan to Reduce Gun Violence Act of 2024 attempts to push state-level gun control restrictions on the national scale. I wish there'd be like a little indicator here of like how much we should give a shit and how much of a chance in hell these things have. So I don't like somebody could throw ice on hot concrete. I mean, I got to watch it. Like, I don't care that some of this stuff is happening if it's vapor. It's sometimes interesting to know that it's happening, but does it need to be a whole paragraph of our conversation here? U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, that one I know, enlists wolf mediator. The U.S. Department of Interior is bringing in a third party to guide natural discussion of the U.S. policies and rulemaking surrounding wolves and wolf reintroduction, according to whatever. Yeah, people that can't handle wolves are pussies. So if you can't compete with wolves, then are you really the top predator? Aren't we alpha? We should be able to handle wolves being around. We shouldn't have to have naked forests because predator-free forests because we're so tough. If we're so tough, we should be able to handle some wolves out there and grizzly bears. Fight me if you're against wolves. You can fight. We can fight. National Shooting Sports supports increased federal funding for chronic wasting disease research. NSSF signed in a support letter for the American Wildlife Conservation Partners, a coalition of 35 wildlife organizations, to request a Senate and House Appropriations Subcommittee on Agriculture, blah, 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 and related agencies, blah, 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 chronic wasting disease in cervid populations. That means deers. The letter asks the subcommittees to dedicate no less than $16 million for states, tribes, and universities to further develop and implement surveillance, testing, and management and response activities. $4.5 million would provide indemnity payments to remove infected. Blah blah blah. I don't know. Only 5 states have neither detected nor share a border with a state. The CWD was detected in 3 additional states in the past year and has now been confirmed in 33 states and at least 415 counties. Yep, well, we can ignore lots of stuff, but people selectively give a shit about what critters they're going to be worried about. Interesting. Then we get state news. Colorado House passes gun ban. Colorado House passes gun ban bill. All right. Well, so I don't know how new this is. I guess this is from today. So Colorado's House passed it. Is now ready for the state Senate for consideration. Well, all I care about and all anybody cares about is how their Senate is stacked. So I think the important information here would have been telling us how the Senate is stacked and whether or not this is going to a brick wall or if it's going into a fast forward copy machine. So thanks for not telling us the actual deal here. Colorado passes bill mandating firearm purchase tracking code. So everybody's super concerned about this. Other states have made whole laws that stop the credit card companies from doing this. I don't care, but at the same time, when we see the antis using this as a tactic, we have to care, or at least we have to be aware. I think this is a mad waste of fucking time to worry about, though. There's so many other things that we could take this amount of time and effort to challenge or get better on than this stupid thing. So right now, this is stupid vaporware that they threatened. It's like the Charleston loophole. It's just dumbass shit they make up so that they can get us all worried. And a bunch of people got all worried and they started taking it further. So now we have the antis doing something with it. And now what's going to happen? Nothing. What are they going to? Oh, look, somebody bought something at a gun shop. Guess what you can buy at a gun shop? All kinds of shit. You can buy ice cream at half the gun shops in Arizona. So this seems stupid, but that's their tactic. Waste our time. And here's us having our time wasted by it. It's frustrating. We could probably get better at this. Be more resilient. Take some black guys and give some black guys politically. Maine legislature shoots down firearm industry liability bill, but passes 72-hour delay. So what the fuck? Maine, if someone says lawmakers, they're anti-gun. Just saying. Maine representatives rejected a bill that would have allowed frivolous lawsuits against the firearms industry. Okay, there already is such a thing, and it's called PLACA. So what is Maine wasting their time anyway? The bill passed the state's House, but was voted down in the Senate. So is that what's about to happen in California? Or Colorado? How do we know? Wait, later, I'm going to stop reading this because I don't like this writing. Like say half the time, NSSF just rewrites blogs, and some of those blogs are well written, and some of them are trying to exploit everything that happens. So next, Oklahoma advances bill to eliminate age-based ban on handgun purchases. Eliminate age-based ban. So in Oklahoma, there is a ban on handgun purchases under 21. And this SB 1218 would eliminate it. Good. And Oklahoma advances that bill. Good. So Oklahoma is going in the correct direction to remove the prohibition on 18 to 21-year-olds from owning a gun. Good. Well, a handgun. Good. All right. So we got a piece of good news in all that. I don't know why this picture is here. Does Oklahoma have a 2-story legislature? Is there 2-story buildings in Oklahoma, or is that fake? Virginia, next one. Virginia veto session highlights the need for vigilance. Strong 2A governors. The General Assembly in Virginia gathered in Richmond for the veto session. This is the one-day session when the bills the governor either vetoed or sent back can be taken back up. This veto session is more significant than usual for the firearms industry because Democrats who currently control both the House and Senate passed dozens of anti-gun bills. They were on a mission to pass bills to strip away the rights of Virginians and punish the industry. With much appreciation, the governor responded by vetoing all legislation that would have negatively impacted firearms and ammunition businesses. That's a good summary. So I like that one. 1 out of 17. All right, I can't find my mouse. Somewhere, here it is. When you have 3 monitors and 2 of them are very wide, it's easy to lose your mouse. It happens. It gets lost on one of the other monitors, and I don't know where to look. So WAPO, what is that? Washington police officers, is that what that means? Washington Post asked D.C. residents about gun control and crime. The answers probably surprised them. All right. The editorial board decried a devastating trend in the nation's capitals that appears to show the city isn't following other metropolitan across the country. Violent crime declined in nearly every major U.S. city last year, the editors noted. They asked 12 D.C. residents what could be done, and it turns out these residents reflect the feelings of larger American population that want the police to have a strong presence. They want criminals prosecuted. And for all the crowning from gun control activists about the historic surge in firearms sales over the last 3 to 4 years in a city that's one of the strictest on gun control in the nation, not one answer called for more gun control. In fact, one respondent wanted looser gun control. All right, that was a pretty good summary. I'll take that one. So we had to wait all the way to the end to get the good ones. So then it says, in other news, I don't know what that means. ATF engaged in business. Isn't this federal? ATF engaged in business. Final rule published in the Federal Register. I could have listed a bunch of things that I could care less about, and one of them is the Federal Registrar. Now I know all stupid about it, or I know all about stupid thing because of these stupid rules that they keep publishing. Like, I could have gone my whole life not knowing about the stupid Federal Registrar, and I'd have been happy. Anyway, ATF published its expanded definition of a major distraction right in front of the election time. Oh, wait, what's it called? Engaged in the business of dealer in firearms, blah, 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 blah. So the rule expanded the engaged in business. Additionally, ATF noted that the Republican-backed Bipartisan Safer Communities Act direct final rule was published in the Register with 30. So what the hell? And then blah, blah, blah. You're literally just telling us all the nitty-gritty. Previously, NSS submitted a comprehensive comment letter. Respectfully, the ATF. Oh, my goodness. They didn't say nothing in this thing. All they did is say a bunch of details, which amount to nothing. So essentially, this final rule was published, and they can't do shit about it, or they're going to put everybody in jail. Like, come on. What happened to that other article where they said something about where do you get off worrying about anything if you're complaining that you can't do the job you can already do? So where do they come up with this thing with the final rule? How come that isn't addressed down here? Anyway. Next, I'm not going to talk about Project Salad Safe and something. Grasso Holdings makes sizable contribution to NSSF's Protect Liberty PAC, which is a political action committee. Those are necessary because they can do certain things that other nonprofits can't do. And something called Grasso Holdings, I guess we're supposed to know what that is. received a sizable contribution from them. All right. Oh, it's a $10,000 contribution. There we go. We still don't know who they are, but whoever they are, thanks for the $10,000 for on our side, I guess. Let's see. USPS now offers electronic fingerprinting for firearms challenges. What? I mean firearms challenge. For the identity history summaries checks, firearms challenge, and voluntary appeal file. I thought maybe that meant like sports, but no, that means some kind of bullshit FBI investigation shit. That's crazy. So now the post office is going to do your fingerprints for you? No, thank you. The lady at the post office is super mean. I don't want her touching my hands. Hey, Wheeled and Well Arms out there. Welcome. It's been a long time. Hope everything's doing good for you. We need to talk Gizzard and going down to Blade Show. Let's see. Oregon court denies state request to stay measure. So the court in Oregon denied the state's request to stay 114. Oregon's Court of Appeals denied that motion, ruling that the Oregon's measure would require purchasers to complete a firearm safety course. The court also granted the state's motion to expedite the appeal. Worthless. Come on, worthless. Super complicated. We don't know what the hell's going on in Oregon. They had this stupid ballot measure to change stupid laws there. And this is more writing that doesn't even tell us. I mean, seriously, I appreciate that they're putting the time into formatting this. I understand completely how long that takes. This was pointless. This doesn't even give us a summary. Bottom line up front. Bluff. Bottom line up front. That's how you write intel. Next one. Oh, is that supposed to be Illinois? What shitty abbreviations. Holy crap. It looks like the Roman numeral 3, Attorney General files opposition to SCOTUS, what do they call this? Modern sporting rifle ban petition. Blech. Illinois Attorney General, whatever, filed an opposition to petition to the, oh my goodness. Seriously. They need to write this in plain English. Either they're writing this for attorneys, in which case, what are they showing it to us for? Or they could write this in plain English. This is ridiculous. This is why I have to weed through this. I don't do this every week like this. ATF moves for summary judgment in Baltimore's trace data lawsuit. BATF filed a motion in a lawsuit brought by the city of Baltimore to force the ATF release protected firearms trace data. So the city of Baltimore wants ATF to release trace data by the Freedom of Information Act. ATF states Congress prohibited ATF from disclosing anything. Would that be the Tyhart Amendment? Repeatedly upheld the prohibition against similar claims. The ATF further points out that Congress might have modified the Tyhart Rider, which prevents disclosure to make firearms trace data immune from legal process. So essentially, that's like asking the investigators to give you the addresses of all the drug dealers. Like, they don't want to do that because then everybody's going to go out and you go to the drug dealers. So they don't want to tell everybody who all the bad apples are because they don't want criminals knowing who the bad apples are if they're still investigating them. They usually will tell you after they arrest somebody, this was a bad apple. So this is frustrating because you'd like to have everything be open and transparent. That'd be super fun and happy. But in reality, if you're going to talk about everybody you're suspicious of, then everyone's going to jump to the conclusion that everyone's guilty of fucking everything. So you can't have too many investigators in the mix, too many chefs in the mix, however you want to say that. But that's an interesting one. And again, why don't we spin off and get more fragmented and worried about dumb shit? Well, because they're doing this to us. That's one of their strategies. We have to get way better at absorbing this shit. If we were like water, they wouldn't be able to attack us like this. We're brittle and we fragment, so they attack us like this.
these stupid strategies work, in other words. All right, so next is NSSF Most Effective Trade Association. The NSSF was ranked the #1 trade association for lobbying, member mobilization, and industry repetition stewardship, whatever that is, in some trademark companies' survey of policy leaders in Washington, including congressional staff, executive branch officials, and private sector executives. So that's an interesting thing. I don't know how many other industry associations were in the running. You know, if it was just this, was this just hunting? Was this like outdoors, or was this like literally every business out there? I don't have any idea, but that does sound pretty interesting. So congratulations. I rag on NSSF all the time, but I also super much appreciate them. They do amazing good stuff. It's just they do a couple of things that are stupid that I don't like. But yeah, good organization. They've been doing awesome stuff for a long time. Glad to see them get some appreciation for that. Another resource that NSSF offers is these toolkits for members. We've looked at them before. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of Child Safe, but all the other stuff, most of the other stuff is pretty good. And they offer all those resources kind of transparent. Like they're open. You can look at them. You can grab them. They're PDFs. You can print them. You can use them. You can probably get printed ones from them. So with that, we'll end this. Like I said, this is sloppy. I don't like doing it this way, but it's raw. I didn't get to do a bunch of stuff.
Hey guys, welcome back.
I didn't get to do a bunch of stuff this week, or I was doing a bunch of stuff this week. I didn't get to watch very many videos or anything. So this was a summary of the stuff I did watch, stuff I would have watched, and stuff that you can watch if you feel like it. It's not all linked out this week because that actually takes hours and I didn't have time to do it. So we'll just wrap this thing up. I want to thank Snob and Saint and Wield for showing up. Everybody else was just creepy and didn't even say nothing. I don't know. People want to be creepy and weird, you know, anonymously. We can't say nothing. They're going to just do it. But for all the people that do interact on this internet, much appreciated for them. I'll give this puppy both a wiggle and a pat and one of these, whatever this is called. So I guess I could do that full screen. We'll do it again. Puppy co-host is over here making noises. I lost my mouse again. There it is. We'll give the puppy one of these, and whatever this is. All right, thanks for watching and listening to the podcast. If you're Patreon, check out what we got going on over there. We got a bunch of interesting stuff happening. It'll be a lot more Patreon-only stuff now that we got this stuff happening. And then channel members, of course, are invited into that. Thanks for keeping everything going over these years. And we can now take some time to appreciate y'all and get ready to start growing, start doing some new stuff in the 2A realm again here in 2024. All right, with that, there's nothing to say goodbye to because Wield and Saint and Gunsomb are probably already sleeping. So we'll throw a quick commercial in here for our store. As capitalists, we try to keep our servers and our server and our software running through sales at our store. So thanks for the people who participate in that act of capitalism.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Think about it. There's like 6 people right now that are fiending because Gizzard doesn't have his after chat going. So they're used to gossiping and chatting every week. They can't do it because Gizzard didn't do his show. So they're all out there probably huffing and muffing about it. Come on. Why is my mouse acting so weird? What'd you do to my mouse, puppy?